the Experience Pros radio show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a Fan Braggin' story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Happy Recycling Day.
It is. November 15th marks America Recycles Day. And yet this year there's a little cause for concern. And that's because China recently announced its intent to ban the import of certain recyclable materials by year end. And if implemented, a ban on scrap imports will result in the loss of tens of thousands of jobs and closure of many recycling businesses throughout the United States.
China's doing this?
That is the news. And here to bring the expert advice and tell us what's really going on in our recycling industry is Adina Renee Adler, Senior Director of Government Relations and International Affairs at the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, ISRI. Adina, welcome to Experience Pros today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Adina, what's going on over in China and how can we fix this?
Yeah, sure. So little does everybody know that we export a tremendous amount of our scrap materials to China. We are good recyclers here in the United States. We collect about 130 million metric tons from our homes, offices, the factory floor, but we can't use all of it here in the U.S., so we do have to export about a third of it. And a good chunk of that does go to China. Their manufacturing sector has been demanding these high-quality materials for a number of years. But they do also have a serious environmental crisis on their hands, and they're trying to do everything they can to try to get a hold of that. And so one of the things they've decided to do is crack down on imports of what they deem to be of the lowest quality, dirtiest materials coming from the U.S. and Europe and other countries. And that means that back here at home, there's going to be just a little bit of a difference in how we collect our recyclables.
So if I understand correctly, then one man's trash is another man's treasure is really literally become one man's trash is just another man's trash, and they're not interested.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. In some ways, we do send them a lot of those treasures to China. So don't get me wrong, but sometimes those treasures are mixed in with the rubbish, and they just don't want that anymore. So it just means that we're having to think a little bit differently about how we collect and how we clean those materials before they are processed and then sent off to those export markets.
So if we kind of change some of our practices, they can still keep going. And yet, are we not willing to change any practices? And that's why we could be at a loss of thousands of jobs?
Yeah, I think it's more just the lack of understanding about what can and cannot be recycled. And this is one of the things we're doing as part of America Recycles Day this week, is just getting that information out to the communities and saying, hey, if you don't know, call your local representatives or call your waste management companies and just say, what can you recycle? What should I be sending? What can I do to make things better? And one of those things could be just to make sure that the tomato sauce is fully cleaned out of the jars when you're done with it.
Yeah,
so that extra.
Rachel, this sounds an awful lot like having to wash the dishes before you put it in the dishwasher.
You know what? It's something that I do, and then I get sparkling clean dishes when
I clean up the house before the house cleaners come.
Y'all are crazy is what you are. Although when I'm in a hotel room, I do make my bed. Okay, so
there you go.
So this sounds to me, though, that it's also moving. It's all the way down to the local level where we, the average Joe and Jane, can make a difference by talking to our local collection agencies and recycling agencies. And does that then truly affect a $13.2 billion deficit?
I think it can, because if we do just a little bit more to make sure that everything's clean, that everything can be separated, then the materials recovery facilities where our curbside recyclables go can do better to separate the materials from each other and pick out, the unwanted trash. And then they capture that much more material that can then be sent into the manufacturing process, whether here in the United States or back overseas. I think it is actually really possible.
All right. Okay. I mean, I think it's really fascinating when we learn every time we have ISRI here, because isn't that how you say it? ISRI, ISRI. Yep. And you can find them online at isri.org, isri.org. But the recycling industry is directly and indirectly responsible for more than 534,000 jobs in the U.S. And I think that more and more people, I mean, every time, it's trash day in my neighborhood, there's always the recycle bins as well as, the regular trash. And we are far more involved in recycling than I remember being as a kid.
I think you and Jay should go out with your hose and just hose down everybody else's green boxes.
But there's an element of education. And so how do we're all used to throwing the recycle in the recycling bin, but how quickly do we need to make these other behavioral changes?
I really think it could start even today. I have an 11-year-old at home that I have to talk to every single day about, when we get the boxes from Amazon, let's just make sure that we flatten them. When she's done with the peanut butter, we just quickly rinse it out to get some of that excess residue out. Or excess food out of there so that it doesn't inadvertently contaminate the Amazon boxes. And then we throw them into the bin. And now we know, when before we didn't clean out the peanut butter jar and that would have been thrown away into the landfill. Now it probably will go to a recycling facility because we just took that extra, couple of seconds to do that. It can really start right away. And if you're not 100% sure, then you call the facilities and say, hey, are you still taking this stuff? And what can I do to make it better?
I think you guys are on a great mission, and we're certainly grateful for your time today, Adina. How would you like our listeners to follow up and connect with ISRI?
Thank you for the plug earlier. Visit our website, www.isri.org. Ton of information about what can and can't be recycled, resources that we can share with our schools so the children understand, and market information, what's going on in the world of recycling. Everything is there for you.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. And helping us celebrate America Recycles Day this week. Thanks for your time, Adina.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, fascinating conversation. And, I am kind of the skeptic in the room, and I guess that's kind of my role in the program.
In life.
Maybe in life as well.
I mean, it's not just these 2 hours a day you stir the pot.
She cleans out the peanut butter. Did you hear what she said? She cleans out the peanut butter so it doesn't contaminate the boxes.
Don't you?
When is licking a box a problem?
Licking?
Do people lick boxes?
Well, okay, but you think about what boxes are going to go do and be next. You don't want the oils from the peanut oils to be in.
That's true. The peanut oils could cause an anaphylactic problem, and we don't want that to happen in the boxes. I don't understand everything, folks. Don't hold it against me. In lieu of that, though, I will recycle my coffee grounds.
You will?
I will.
Where?
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Into what?
I'm not gonna make them into something. I'm just gonna recycle them.
Okay, so there's.
I'm gonna put them in a bag.
Plastic? You're going to put them in a plastic bag?
I didn't say plastic.
Well, what kind of bag is it?
Oh, there's paper bags.
You have
those are fully recyclable.
Do you have any paper bags?
Now it becomes
when was the last time you brought a paper bag into your house?
I'm going to craft one out of this recycled Kleenex.
Recycled Kleenex.
Not a Kleenex brand. It's just a tissue.
It's just a tissue.
Right?
It is. These days it is far more. And I know we had somebody from ISRI on a couple months ago talking about the different colors and what you recycle, because now there's multiple recycling bins in public places.
I still go because they've got circles and triangles and squares.
Yeah, you stand there for a couple minutes going, and you know what I end up doing? I look inside.
Yeah, you draw attention from security is what
I
you
look inside to go, okay, well, what is in there? So I can figure out, is there anything that looks like the thing I want to throw away? Which one is that in? Because I can't ever seem to figure it out just from the labels on the outside.
You're holding a cup from the coffee store. And
that's been made out of recycled.
Recycled, right? Mm-hmm. So where do you throw that cup? Do you throw that in the garbage? Do you throw that in the paper cup?
The lid goes in plastic.
Oh, so I'm supposed to separate now. Should you separate?
So when you do your laundry,
nope, it all goes together.
You just put it all in.
Red, orange, yellow, black, blue, green.
Really, all in one.
They're precious in His sight. Yep.
Lump sum, right? And dishes
and I turn
too.
It up
you don't
to hot. We'll be back with more. I got you.
Don't you love the earth? Don't you love our planet?
I love my tight jeans. We'll be back. More positive business talk after these messages.
The Experience Pros, revolutionizing the way people treat people in business.
KDMT, Denver's Money Talk 1690.